a lot of short passing game. How do you evaluate how that works in all levels of executing with that short passing game?
Yeah, we've liked to for years use that to kind of get stuff going and get the tempo started with that when we're off tempo. Thought we executed it really well. Feel like we have even more left out there that we can extend those from 5s and 6s to 7, 8s, and maybe even stay out of a couple third downs using the short intermediate game. So I thought we executed it pretty well, but we can be better in our efficiency at that.
Joey, as you went back and watched Joe, what were some the big positive takeaways and maybe the big couple things you want him to work on this week or the next game?
Yeah, his eyes were in a great spot the entire time. Brought a bunch of different looks, and he never wavered in where his eye discipline was, which is why you saw him complete over 70% of his passes in the first game. He looked really good. He looked confident. He looked comfortable in the pocket. He had a couple really good scrambles for us, up and out, a couple pulling off a run game. So his handling of the offense and his efficiency within the pocket was at a really high level. And just like always, like as you play in the first game, sometimes your feet get a little bit sloppy from time to time as your mind's going to other stuff. So cleaning up that so we make sure we can maintain that level of efficiency that he had.
Ben and Adam.
Joey, I guess going off of that, it didn't seem like Joe pushed the ball down the field as much as we've seen from the offense the last 2 years. Was that a product of just taking what Virginia was giving him, or
yeah,
would you like to see him push the ball down the field more?
No, they were playing really soft. I mean, we threw about 5 balls over the top, didn't hit all of them, hit some of them. He played really well. He took what they gave him. He wasn't just naturally trying to just say, all right, I'm throwing this deep. He didn't have any of those type of plays, and when they were soft, he dropped it down, got outside, got to his second and third reads. First touchdown he threw was to his fourth read right there. So it was really great to see him operate like that.
For Joe to do that, to take what the defense is giving him when the coverage looks that way, is that a maturity or a discipline that you have to grow into to settle for those types of throws?
I think it is, because we all know like that's what opens other things up downfield. There's a maturity to it, and there's an also, we've talked about since January, what he's put in and invested into this with his eye discipline. When you know where you're supposed to be, when you know the timing you're supposed to be on, when it's not there, it's much easier to get to the next one. If your eyes are all over the place trying to figure out what's going on or where you're supposed to be, well, now it's harder to get to 2, 3, 4 because you're just trying to find who the appropriate one is. So all of that we've talked about since we came back here in January, February. You saw it play out with his decision-making on Saturday.
Rob and Austin.
Coach, obviously you were missing Cooper. You played a bunch of guys up front on the offensive line. Just how did you evaluate the run game?
Thought the run game was really well. The guys up front playing a bunch of different spots. They blocked it well. They targeted well. We got a bunch of different front structures on Saturday, and the guys did a great job, never blinked. Tight ends were a big part of that too, cleaning up, being really physical in the run game. And then you watch those backs in any kind of space is scary, I think, for a lot of people. And all of them that got in there ran really hard and ran really well.
I had McCallum Castles out last night at the Taylor show, and he talked about how much Joe has dialed it back or throws a softer ball now on maybe that intermediate stuff than even when he first got here. Is there a point in time where you notice that Joe started to get a better feel for, throwing a 12-yard hitch versus, at different velocities versus just always kind of bringing the fastball?
Yeah, that we've worked on that all off season. Like there's just different types of throws to make when you're working something over the middle of the field. You're probably touching something up into windows if you're on time. If somebody, like you saw the other day, Squirrel ran that hook on the far opposite sideline, he let that thing go with a vapor trail off the back of it. So like you get those type of throws still, and then the one that he touched up to Ramel coming across the middle that we hit that big play on the second and long that got us going. He just touched that up right over the top of the backer and dropped it in the bucket right there. So there's a multitude of throws that a quarterback has to play, and that's what you're seeing Joe do is he's playing the game like a quarterback at a really high level, not a thrower. He is a quarterback that knows how to touch the ball up, knows how to use his arm strength when he needs it, knows how to dial it back to touch a ball up and be on time.
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Joey, is there an ideal number of drives or snaps you want to get Nico in a game like this? And how important are these games for a guy who's a backup and a true freshman at the same time?
Yeah, you heard Coach Bates say the same thing. Any kind of action that a freshman can get is hugely beneficial. One, just to take the field in front of that many people and calm your nerves down and trust your eyes. And sometimes you call a play, you don't even remember what the play is. It's like, wait, what is that? You know what I mean? Like your first time in there. So just getting that adrenaline spike and then calming yourself back down, that's huge. And then going against these guys this week, you're going to get a multitude of pressures and coverages, and it's going to be great for everyone to see that because that's a huge eye discipline game, which once again, for whether he's a an older backup or a young guy coming in for his first couple snaps, it's a huge game for him to have to define his eyes.
Karthik did Rick.
Coach, what do you feel makes Joe Milton an effective runner, and how do you feel like that addition of the running game for him makes him more dynamic?
Yeah, it once again goes back to what we talked about with the overall quarterback play. He's extremely defined with his eyes, and he's pulling it, and he's coming down to run when it makes sense on the pass game, and he's pulling it in the run game when it also makes sense. He's not forcing anything. He's not saying, all right, I'm going to run this one. It's like, well, the defense isn't giving me the run. I'm going to keep pulling my fake out and letting our backs go for 10 yards a pop. Now they come around tight, and here he comes around the corner. And with what makes him effective, like a 240-pound guy running 4.5 is like super effective. So like him getting around the corner can't be a ton of fun for a lot of people to see coming at him.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit back here. How can the production like you saw this past weekend out of the running game help Joe and the rest of the offense really throughout the rest of the season?
Anytime you can run the ball at that kind of efficiency, it opens everything back up for you. And not that you're going to force feed it to try to get it to that way, but they had the hot hand early. Like those backs were hitting everything with one great tempo, but then when the hole presented itself, they were hitting that thing like a ton of bricks. So they were fun to watch. They were really easy to keep feeding the rock to, and they were taking us all the way down the field with big play after big play in the running game.
Casey in the back, and then Brent up front.
What does the wide receiving core really need to do to sync up as the season goes forward and take another step in being influential in the game's success?
Yeah, a lot of it's just settling in. You know, first game, you have an older receiving core, but it's a lot of guys that are making their first like true starting experience an entire way through a season. It's just settling in and taking what they're giving you, just like we said with the quarterback, and not feeling like you have to go rush it and go make the big play right now. Like, man, get your depths, understand your reads, be in the right spot, and then everything else takes care of itself because the athleticism, all that, it's all there. So they don't have to try and press to do anything. If they're just playing within the system and how they're supposed to, their athleticism will take over.
Brent and Vince, last two.
Speaking of that, I mean, from Dante Thorpe's standpoint, was this truly a first game? Did you kind of see that from him when you watched the tape, or did you like what he did in game one? And then the running backs in the passing game seem to be more involved. Is that something you guys really focused on in the offseason, or is that just kind of the way it went with the way Virginia was playing?
Yeah, starting off with Dante, I think whenever someone's making their first start or first real true game experience in this kind of offense, no matter how many scrimmages, anything you do, it's just different. So getting him settled in and going, you saw him get the ball like some quick touches in his hand right now to just get him going in that first game was what we were expecting to do. He took the top off a couple plays. He could have gotten a couple. We weren't to his side for whatever reason. Sometimes games just go that way. The backs, I think, not to keep repeating the same answer, but I think you're seeing Joe get from 1 to 2 to 3 really well, and that's why you're seeing the backs get a bunch of catches out there, because it's not just 1 and I'm out or 1, 2 and I'm out. It's get to that back, get to the third guy, protection's holding up great, get all the way through it, because you try in the run game to get your back in a bunch of space. That's the whole goal. Well, if you're throwing the ball to the back, he's typically in space, so you're just already getting to what you're trying to do in the run game anyway. That's why you saw a bunch of big plays. You saw, Jabari had a big one in it, Jalen had a big one, and Dylan had the touchdown all in the passing game too. So it was great to see us be able to operate that way.
2 quick things. How did Joe Milton's stiff arm grade out to you guys?
Pretty good. If he did it a second earlier, he probably goes and scores. But like I said, that's a big, strong dude that just took that guy and planted him into the ground. It was pretty cool.
And just Nico and Joe, their interaction during the game, how did you like that and how they worked together?
Well, I'm up top on game day, but Nico's awesome with Joe. Like, he was talking to him about what he sees. As soon as Joe comes out and Nico goes in, he's not checked out, just kind of doing whatever. He's watching, talking to him about what he saw coming off the field, helping each other. And it's what I said, the two of them are always together. Joe's been a huge help to him, bringing him along to this point. And I think that's why you're also seeing Nico do everything he can to help Joe when he's the one out there on the field, because it's hard to see everything at that position.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.